It took me 7 weeks and 2 trips to tropical microchip conferences to figure out what to say about the new Google phone. And even then, I had to rope in its sibling smartwatch and earbud buddies to summon anything of substance. Why? Well, as Daniel Bader said on the Android Police podcast about those microchips,
talking about these things is the equivalent of talking about drying paint. It is not fun.
It's not because they're not impressive. In fact, he was making the opposite point, that mobile silicon has gotten so good across the board that comparing it is ultimately futile if you're talking to a mainstream audience. And folks, with smartphone reviews, we're getting to the same exact point. This phone lasts all day. Its display is bright. Its speakers are loud. It feels good, as they say, in the hand. It's nearly everything a high-end smartphone should be, offered at a competitive price. To quote the Dismemberment Plan, and you know that's good news for the Pixel 8 Pro. 2 years after the risky reinvention of the Pixel line, Google has blended boring iteration with buzzworthy innovation to produce a phone that's easy to recommend. But when you zoom out to include the watch and buds that share its name, well, the pixels get a little bit fuzzier. On the same day the Pixel 8 Pro was announced, Fast Company published a story in which Marcus Collins coined a term for the tethers that keep people connected to a brand: covalent bonds. Every time I open up my MacBook to find that the Apple Watch on my wrist has already unlocked it for me, that's a bond. Every time I open up my Galaxy Buds next to a new Samsung phone and they're already paired, that's another. And with each bond, the cement connecting me to that ecosystem gets stronger. In the Pixel family, those bonds start with the aesthetics. The serene bay color of my 8 Pro review device is reflected in the accents on my Pixel Buds Pro sample, while the Pixel Watch 2's coral color pops in its own complementary way. Those playful colors combine with the contoured curves of the casings to produce an ergonomic array of mobile tech that's slightly whimsical and, above all, cohesive. These were made to work together. And this year, Google has put more thought into how they work together, starting with your previous phone. Moving into the Pixel 8 Pro was easy thanks to fast pair support and a transfer process that brings over many more of your custom settings and preferences than before. Setting up the watch and buds is similarly simple. The buds are essentially unchanged from the version I reviewed on the 2022 episode of The Leftovers, but the added time has given me more insights. On the plus side, the battery life is tremendous. I used the buds for the entirety of the 4.5-hour flight to the MediaTek Summit, and they still had 51% left when I landed. That's not counting the full charge left in the case. Trouble is, putting the buds into that case doesn't always disconnect them from the phone. The buds will sometimes continue playing audio even while charging, an issue reported many times by many users over the years. Also, for someone with multiple phones, it's vital to be able to switch which device you want the buds to connect to. Now, I'm always invited to switch the source when I pick up a different phone, but the transfer seldom works on the first try. Buggy buds are bummer buds. Now, the Pixel Watch 2 is a new device. Not that you'd know it because of the almost totally identical industrial design, which is still much too small for my wrist with much too large a bezel, but from its health sensors to its charging disc to the Snapdragon processor, it's a new product. The most significant change is that the battery life is no longer abysmal. If you're careful, you can push it to 2 days. Not me, though. My review sample is the cellular edition, and I keep the always-on display enabled, like the good Lord intended, so I personally never get more than a day and a half. But to me, the LTE is worth it. I love being able to leave the apartment without my phone for a quick coffee run and still get notifications on my watch, as long as my phone is still connected to the network back in my apartment. And when I do remember my phone, I love being able to set it up for a photo op and remotely trigger the camera from the watch on my wrist, using a pre-installed app I don't have to go hunt for and don't need to set up. That is, when it actually works as intended. Yeah, here's the thing. The Pixel Watch 2 is also a bit buggy. It's slow. slow to register a wrist raise and wake up and display a notification, slow to silence an alarm, and intolerably slow to brighten after it's spent some time in the darkness beneath your jacket cuff. These little delays all conspire to make the thing feel, well, I've used this word a lot in Google reviews, inconsistent. And that's what led to my epic selfie fail. If you use the Pixel Watch as a remote camera shutter, you hit the button, and about 2 seconds later, the watch buzzes and makes a capture sound. Simple, right? Yeah, well, here's the thing. That notification on the watch is delayed. In reality, the phone is snapping the photo the instant you hit the button on the watch, which is why the only full group photo from the MediaTek Summit has this stupid guy poking his wrist with his nose in the foreground. Fortunately, it's easy enough to paint out the goober thanks to the magic eraser built into the phone that took the photo. The Pixel 8 Pro is being marketed mostly on the back of the buzzword of the year, AI. If you've watched even a minute of network TV in the States this season, you know the Pixel can fix the smiles and faces of everyone in the group shot, or relocate an off-center subject in your photo, or make someone appear to be an Olympic pole vaulter. As with most things AI, a large percentage of these features feel like they were built for the explicit purpose of making a commercial about them. I cannot think of a bigger waste of time than virtually manipulating a picture after the fact rather than just telling my friends to move 2 steps closer together. I also have no interest in making myself appear to levitate or virtually replacing a sky to create a memory that never existed. Now, thankfully, there's also very useful stuff here. We've talked a lot about Magic Eraser, which I use pretty often these days.
And Audio Magic Eraser extends that capability by letting you delete the background noise from a video so you can more clearly hear the person speak.
Also, I love that I can take a quick snap of a 57-year-old photograph and unblur it to coax out more details. And even if you only ever use the camera in dumb mode, the improvements to the optics and processing are substantial. From an Open Studios art exhibition in my South Brooklyn hometown to the Snapdragon and MediaTek summits in Hawaii and California, the Pixel 8 Pro did one thing I expected and one thing I didn't. Respectively, it captured stills with the crisp reliability the Pixel has come to be known for, and it delivered high-quality video to go with those photos. Even though Video Boost and Night Sight Video are 2 upgrades that won't come to the Pixel until after this review goes live, the 8 Pro doesn't need them to outshine every other Google phone to date. I'm not going to get in the weeds here with talk about focal lengths or resolutions. The only specific I'll touch on is that the optical zoom is still just as impressive as the jarring switch between cameras is frustrating. The rest I will leave to you to judge, while I sit here and silently stew about the fact that my Pixel Fold, which costs twice as much, often produces output that's half as good. Stop making foldables second-class citizens anyway. Enjoy. I don't mean to fan the flames of the argument that phone reviews are basically camera reviews these days, but well, to invoke the D plan again. You know, it does calls well. It gets a little warmer than some phones, but nothing crazy. It charges wirelessly, like a civilized smartphone should. The camera bar still gets scratched up. It doesn't wobble on a tabletop, etc., etc.
Mid-edit, Mr. Mobile here. I just realized as I was cutting this video that I forgot to mention the temperature sensor. I'm not actually going to talk about the temperature sensor. I just wanted you to know that I remembered it, and I'm actively deciding to give it exactly the amount of time it deserves.
The thing is, the Pixel's story is interesting. It's just that you have to dig deeper for it. In the weeks since its release, it's become apparent that the Pixel probably isn't the phone you should buy if you're a hardcore gamer. And that's because of a decision Google made years ago to design its own silicon, which hopefully will someday produce the kind of truly smart phone the company has promised for ages. But in the interim, we're forced to deal with lower horsepower than comparable smartphone chips, as well as infrequent but still irksome bugs you really don't see on other phones in this class.
Do I realize that between this point and the one about the Watch 2's processor that I've single-handedly undermined the point I made in the intro, that comparing chips doesn't matter? Yes. Yes, I do.
The question you need to ask if you're considering a Pixel is whether the features the phone offers and Google's vision for the future of phones is worth those compromises. I think for the vast majority of American buyers, it absolutely will be. The features it offers are thoughtful and convenient. Witness call screening, the single greatest anti-spam countermeasure I've ever used, and Recorder, the single greatest tool for interviews, classwork, and podcasts. To say nothing of the more fun stuff like Now Playing, delivered with a unique and playful aesthetic. Emoji wallpapers, yay! Supported by a promise of 7 years of software updates. You know, the Pixel is great for these things. The ecosystem question is less clear-cut. Yes, all this stuff looks good together, and it gets along in a basic sense. But the bugs with the buds are annoying, and the watch needs more size options and a stronger feature set if it's going to revive the Wear OS platform that Google effectively killed through 5 years of neglect. Oh, and don't even get me started on the Pixel tablet. It feels like it's gotten better recently, but that's going to depend on Google Assistant becoming better, and that's going to depend on AI, which is going to depend on new hardware, so jury's still out on the Pixel tablet. If Android is ever going to get back to being a compelling option to normal folks cross-shopping against Apple, those people need a vertically oriented one-stop shop for all their gadgets. I think the Pixel ecosystem has as much a chance of becoming that destination as Samsung's. But it needs to offer more, and it needs to work better. Of course, that's for normal folks. For geeks like me, the beauty of Android has always been that I can pick from many manufacturers to sate my sick desires. A flip phone from Motorola, a folding phone from OnePlus, a smartwatch from Garmin, and earbuds from nothing. Personally, this is the witch's brew of technology that keeps this mobile man happy at the tail end of 23, and I'm thankful that Android's open nature still allows for such a variegated grab bag. No matter which device you daily drive, do it distinctly with dbrand. Dip on down to the description to see cases and skins from my sponsor, from Seabreeze to Solstice, Abusement Park to Obsidian. Or do what I do and stick some real leather on there, so your phone ages like you do. Alarmingly quickly, showing every scar, but smelling better all the time. The link to dbrand your device is down below. This review was produced after just under 2 months with Pixel 8 Pro, Pixel Watch 2, and Pixel Buds Pro review samples, all of which are on loan from Google. As always, the manufacturer provided no compensation for this content, nor was it given any editorial input rights or copy approval. That means these opinions are mine, and mine alone. Please subscribe to The Mr. Mobile on YouTube if you'd like to see more reviews like this. And follow me at Captain Two Phones on Threads if you'd like to chat about mobile tech in between videos. Until next time, from Michael Fisher, thanks for watching. Thanks for your patience on this one. And stay mobile, my friends.